I'm a 23-year-old female. I live in a townhouse with my 2 children, my 2-year-old and my 6-month-old. My fiance did live with us until 2 weeks ago, when I caught him trying to mess with other women and kicked him out. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and when he did live with us, he worked evenings. So, in July of 2019, I was lying in bed trying to fall asleep. All the lights were off, but I had my window and blinds open since it was so warm inside. I was looking out the window and I noticed small red and white lights just outside. I got up and looked to realize that the lights were coming from a drone. I ran downstairs to my fiance, who was sitting in the living room. I told him what I saw, but of course, when he went to look, it was gone. I was paranoid that the drone could have had a camera on it and someone was watching me with it. I kept my blinds closed for a little while after that. Fast forward to January of this year, I guess I stupidly got comfortable and assumed that whoever was flying the drone was a one-time creep. My blinds were open, and I had just gotten out of the shower. I was sitting in my bed, pretty much naked, just scrolling on my phone, when out of the corner of my eye, I saw lights again out of the dark window. It was that damn drone again. I ran out of the room and waited for a few minutes. I peeked back into my room, and it was gone. I quickly shut my blinds and got dressed. Honestly, I felt sick at how stupid I was to leave my window open again, especially since I was practically naked. Now, for the really disturbing part. My 2-year-old son and I were out in the field 2 weeks ago, 3 days after I kicked out my fiance. I had my 6-month-old strapped to me in a baby carrier. Probably about a half hour later, I heard a slight whirring noise. I looked up, and of course I saw a drone flying toward us. I looked around and didn't see anyone. Then, it stopped right over us. I freaked out, grabbed my son, and dragged him into the house, looking back at the tree line every so often as we went. I knew they had to be hiding in there. I went inside, closed the blinds, and called my mom to tell her about the situation. She told me to just keep an eye out, and I said I would. My son likes to line his toys up along the windowsill, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to open them up just an inch or so. A little while later, after we ate dinner and it was almost dark, I was feeding my 6-month-old while my son was playing. He was standing over by the window, lining up his toys, and he started calling for his father. I figured he was just missing him, so I dismissed him by saying he was going to see him that weekend. He kept calling for his daddy though. I looked up and saw him pointing to the window. Then I froze. I remembered he calls anyone with facial hair daddy because it reminds him of his father. But there was no way someone would be bold enough to actually come up to my window. Not when my neighbors are literally right there. Anyone could see them. Maybe it actually was him, but he should be at work at this time. I ran to the window and moved my son. I didn't want to lift the blinds, but honestly, I was sure it had to be the person who had been creeping on me for the past year, and I needed to see who it was. I pushed the blinds up and was looking at a man who I definitely had never seen before. He was crouching right in front of me. He was bald and had a goatee. I have no idea how old he was. He could have been anywhere from 30 to 50. When he saw me, he smiled and stood up. I yelled and told him to screw off and that I was calling the cops. But he just stood there, smiling at me like some freak. I was about to close the blinds again when he said something I couldn't hear. I told him to leave again, and he said louder this time, "I just want to talk to you." I shook my head no and yelled at him. He started slapping his hands on the window, yelling back to me, over and over. I grabbed my phone, scared he was going to try to break in, and I dialed 911. My kids were crying from all the yelling, and I was on the verge of tears. I told the operator what was going on. The whole time I was on the phone, the man was pounding on my window. He was yelling all kinds of nonsense, and I only caught some of it. He said he's been watching me for months, that I'm beautiful, and that he wants me to come with him. And he said that if I don't, he would kill my children. The operator told me to go into an upstairs room and hide until the police arrived. She said it would be about 20 minutes, but to stay on the phone with her. The man was practically punching my window now and was just screaming like a maniac. I was about to grab my kids and run upstairs when I heard someone else screaming. The man bolted. I looked out and saw my neighbor and his girlfriend. I opened the window and my neighbor said that he heard the man, so he ran around the building. He said when the guy heard him, he ran back to the woods and disappeared beyond the tree line. They said they also called the police. I thanked them over and over. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They did a quick search around the building and in the trees, but didn't find anyone. I've been super paranoid since then and stayed with my parents for a few nights after it happened. I don't know why that guy targeted me or why he waited so long to do something. I'm just happy my neighbors were there to intervene, or who knows what would have happened.